guys, this is Solarin on the Viridian Ocean. Today I'm going to be doing a Puzzle Pirates poker tutorial. This is a tutorial for how to win money in the high stakes game. I will be playing for you later, and I'll have a couple of videos where I play poker and talk through these concepts some more. But you really need to have an idea of the concepts before you even start watching me play and before you play yourself. Before we even get started, I recommend that you read the Chimpy's Poker Guide on Wikipedia. Just go to Wikipedia on the main page, click Tutorials right here, scroll down, under D you'll see the Chimpy's Basic Poker Guide. Just click on that, read through it. There's a whole lot of good information in there, and it's a good idea to have it on your brain before you watch the video and before you play poker. Honestly, I would probably pause right now and read through that before you even watch the rest of the video. Okay, so you're going to want to buy in for the maximum when you're playing poker. The reason for this is Lucky Guy, if he gets aces, will win a lot more from this player here than Saint Mystery if he gets aces. Saint Mystery can only win 42,000 because that's what he has in front of him. Lucky Guy can win the maximum. He can win, actually, whoever gets all in with him, Lucky Guy will win all their chips if he has the best hand. So if you're better than your opponents, which you will be if you watch this video and try when you play, then you're going to want to have the most amount of chips in front of you when you play. The only exception to this rule would be if you don't have a whole lot of money and you're taking a shot at the high stakes game. Generally, when you're playing in the 200,000 buy-in game, you want to have at least 1,000,000 pieces of 8. And like I was saying, you know, if you only have 1,000,000 pieces of 8, it kind of makes sense to only buy in for 100,000 in the 200,000 buy-in game. Really, it's best to have more like 1.8, 2 million chips, something like that, if you're wanting to play in this game. And if you do have 2 million chips, go ahead and buy in for 200,000. Okay, so let's move on to hand selection, position, some of these other concepts. Hand selection just refers to the hands that you're going to play pre-flop. Everything in poker depends on a lot of different variables. If the opponents are very loose, then you want to play tighter hands or better hands. And if the opponents are very tight, then you can play worse hands for raises and try and bluff them. Puzzle Pirates, though, you're going to assume that everyone is very loose and very crazy, and you're going to play tight hands. This is because this is just the way it is. And it's not real money, so they don't take it seriously in general, or even if they do take it seriously, they don't understand the concepts and they call too much and bluff too much. Okay, so assuming everyone is a caller when you first sit down is just a good mindset to be in. Okay, so before I talk about types of opponents, though, let's go through hand selection. As a baseline, you're going to want to play all your pairs from every position for at least a call, but that means deuces through aces. From every position you'll play those pairs. You're also going to play ace king and ace queen from every position, of course. From these first three positions, real quick, position, this right here is the dealer button. Saint Mystery is on the button, as you would say in poker. Wojus is under the gun. This means he has the worst position. Saint Mystery has the best position. Position improves as you move closer to the button. Okay, so from the early positions, you would want to play all your big pairs, 8s or better, and ace king, ace queen, for a raise if you want to. I recommend raising with those hands from these positions. From the middle position right here where revered is, you could raise ace 10 and maybe 6s if you wanted to. I would never raise worse than 6s from any position, really, because in Puzzle Pirates everyone is limping in, and there's going to be so many players in the pot that you don't want to raise with your weak pairs. The reason for this is because you're never going to flop an overpair with 4s unless the board is deuce 3-3. So since you're never going to have a strong pair, you only are playing a hand like 4s for the set value, meaning if a deuce or a 4 falls, then you'll have 3 4s. So never raise with 5s or worse. But in these last two positions, you can raise some of your Broadway hands like King Jack and King Queen, as well as maybe Ace 8 suited. Okay, So as far as calling raises goes, you're going to want to call raises with basically those same hands I was talking about. Just if someone has already raised, just put in the call. You can re-raise with your very strong hands, however, but I'll just leave that to you to make those decisions as to when re-raising is a good idea. You'll get a feel for it as you play more. When everyone is limped in, though, you can also call in the later positions. You can call with 6-7 suited, ace deuce suited, king deuce suited, 7-8 offsuit, things like that. This is because there will be a lot of money already in the pot, and it just makes sense to try and flop straights or big draws or two pair when there's a lot of odds in the pot. You won't be playing top pair with hands like that though. So if you have king deuce and you just hit a king and it's like a king 10 4 board, I mean, of course you will call one bet or make a bet yourself if everyone is checking, but you don't want to build big pots with weak top pair hands. Okay, so let's move on real quickly to hand reading. This refers to being observant, figuring out how your opponents play, and then given that information, you can make a decision about what they have in a particular hand. This is basically how you pick off bluffs and how you determine what two cards a player is holding, or narrow down what cards a player is holding. If you notice that a player, let's say Lucky Guy is a very tight player, you've noticed that he's been folding an awful lot. Sometimes he raises. When he does raise, he raises big. And he always turns over two very good cards, like maybe a pocket pair or a big ace when he's raising. So if he raises in a hand, you already know very narrowly what type of hand he has. Then if he bets the flop and it's an ace on the flop, you probably know what he's got. That's how you read hands. You can use this against opponents. Let's say Wojcik is an aggressive player. He's a good player, but he does like to bluff sometimes, but he also bets for value when he has a big hand, and he always raises with his strong hands pre-flop, including his big aces. So if he did not raise pre-flop, you already know that he doesn't have too strong of a hand. So now if he checks the flop and suddenly bets the turn on an ace-king 4 board, your king-queen is liable to be good. So you might want to call him down in that position, because it figures to be a bluff more often than an ace, since he would have raised pre-flop with an ace. Okay, so that's how you read hands. It's something, basically just be very attentive and observant when you're at the table and try to pick up on how your opponents play particular hands. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is types of opponents. Fish and callers are kind of one and the same. Fish are callers. Fish call every time they have anything at all, bottom pair, they'll call with. The difference is fish bluff and callers don't. If you notice that someone doesn't typically bluff, but they always are calling down, or they never bet, but they're always calling down, that's a caller. So if you see a caller making bets, that's a big warning sign that they have a strong hand. In general, you would never bluff either of these opponents. You can bluff a solid player. Solid players fold because they know that if they don't have a top pair and someone else is betting, it's just not worth it. So you can bluff solid players. Bluffing means betting one time, maybe two times, to try and win the pot. If you get called twice, you never bet on the river in these games. Or if you bet on the flop in the turn, never bet on the river. It's always going to be the biggest bet. Generally, you want to make your bets about half the pot or a little larger also. Okay, I'm not really going to go into this because the video is going up on 10 minutes. That is how to think about different types of hands. I'll cover that in my videos where I'm playing poker for you though. Also, if you guys want more poker videos or articles, be sure to check out my website, Poker Rehab, and there's some videos up there for you. They are real money poker training videos though, so it doesn't really apply to the very loose games, or it might not apply. Some of the concepts won't apply to the loose Puzzle Pirates games, but you can definitely get something out of them. Okay, so in my next video I will be playing poker for you guys.